What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Michael Inman and I'm an active duty service member. On this channel I've chronicled my time in the Air Force and I also like to review military movies and TV shows. In today's episode we are going to be reviewing Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Now let's actually start with a synopsis of the film up front because you know I like to forget to do that, which is ironic because it's a movie review situation. But you guys know I'm really just giving notes and thoughts and tying it to what I've experienced in my military career and or I have been taught. Not necessarily personally, done, but what I've learned through lessons while going through my military journey. I love notes, but I think it's important to start with a synopsis. So look at me, improving, claps, claps. Let's get started with the synopsis. Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, which was released in 1999, is a prequel trilogy to the original trilogy called Episode 4 through 6 after the fact, or maybe before, I'm not sure. But the point is this is Episode 1 through 3, which leads nicely into Episode 4 through 6, even though 4 through 6 came out first. Are you following what I'm saying? Good. Okay. And it focuses on pretty much seemingly the fall of the Galactic Federation, and it's going to lead to the creation of the Galactic Empire, which was the main antagonist organization or enemy organization in the original Star Wars trilogy. This film is about, hey, this is the Galactic Federation, right? Hey, some of our outer planets are acting up. We don't know what's going on. They're really getting confident. Yo, ambassadors / Jedis, go see what's good. Tell them to pay their taxes and to not be so rebellious. Please and thank you. Or we will show up ourselves. So the Jedis, roll up. They're like, this does smell a little fishy. The Trade Federation, think of it as a very large economic bloc that has enough money to buy their own weapons and army. See the issue? So the Trade Federation, oh, they're acting up. We smell something funny. Something's a little off out here. So then they're trying to bring that message back to the Galactic Federation, back to the headquarters of the universe, sure. But then there's a side quest because their ship, I don't know, maybe gets hit. They need to repair it on some other planet. They find some child who seems to have some special abilities. It's giving Jedi. It's giving the Force. So they're like, hey, we should probably not kidnap because the mother gives consent to randomly, I guess, enroll her child in this development program. I guess that's how it was interpreted, pushing it. They find this kid, they talk to the mom, they're like, hey, if we negotiate freedom for your son, because they both unfortunately are enslaved persons, yo, can we raise him to possibly be a Jedi? This is again a side quest, because he has, the Force off the charts. They're like, this kid, he can see the future a little bit. I think he might be something. Now, of course, there's foreshadowing. I don't know if you watched the original Star Wars movies. I don't know. Or my very handy dandy reviews. Feel free to check those out. But sorry to ruin the whole original trilogy. This child is not the Messiah. He turns out to be very bad. Turns out to be Darth Vader later on. The whole movie, the whole thing is like, has that air, that like foreshadowing energy of like, is he the Messiah or is he the Antichrist? But of course, as the viewers who have probably already seen the first 3 movies in the trilogy, and this is a prequel trilogy, we know the entire time we're like, man, kid seems nice. He seems like he has good intentions, but things are going to go south, very south. They pick up the child, they get the part needed for the ship, they eventually get back to headquarters of this Galactic Federation, and pretty much, I'm pretty sure, not positive, but I think 2 things happen in this film. 1, they go, yeah, they acting out there, it's a problem. And 2, the Trade Federation says, oh, I think we've been discovered. Let's just attack now. Let's just start this plan that we've secretly been planning. Let's just launch it. Here we go. Let's take a planet. Why not? That is the synopsis, roughly, of Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Now let's get into some of my notes from watching the film. Here we go. First thing. Oh, the intro, the words that go on the screen in the beginning of a Star Wars film. You've probably seen, mocks or, references to it in pop culture. Just words like this at the beginning of a movie. This was much more advanced. For someone who was watching these Star Wars movies pretty much back to back. Not all in one day, I do have a job, as you guys know. But pretty consistently watching these movies in a short time span, it's like we went from high school to first or second year of college. We have bigger words being used. I said, come through, advanced. We use terms like Trade Federation, blockades, Galactic Republic versus Empire. Like, hey, I'm just saying the words were wording as they should. Second thing, this movie is soaked with lots and lots of foreshadowing. There is a point in this movie, actually multiple points, but there's a point in this movie where we get to meet characters that we kind of already know from the original trilogy, right? So you get to meet a very early on C-3PO and also an R2-D2, and you get to visit Tatooine again. Next, I wrote, oh, now that's a planetary blockade, all right. Because I guess the Trade Federation was like, hey, we're gonna blockade this planet until we get what we want. Now, of course, that was really just a facade because they were really gonna take the planet by force. But at first, what was to be perceived was just the reason we have this many ships surrounding your planet is because it's a blockade to entice negotiations. And when they show that blockade, oh, that's a blockade. That is a very problematic and concerning planetary blockade. Next thing I wrote was not them trying to gas out the Jedis. So at some point, the Jedis are hiding on this planet, right? That the Trade Federation is now taking over by force, and they're trying to find the Jedi. So they're just like gassing entire forests where they think they are with, I'm assuming, toxic or poisonous gases, right? So I'm like, that's kind of crazy, kind of unethical, kind of messed up. Next thing I wrote was this film feels very timely in regards to blockades, in regards to invasions, in regards to political maneuvering, but really knowing your expectation all along was to invade. Next thing I wrote was a couple of lines that I thought were, pretty in line with how things would go. They always say the enemy has a vote, right? So when you have a bit of strategy, your adversary is also looking into strategy, planning things, reading your decisions, and making new decisions and new strategies based off what you're doing. So I thought this chain of events made a good example of that. One line was, does the princess on this planet that's of course being blockaded, does the princess know our real plan of invading? And then someone goes, who knows? But we have to cut comms just in case she knows our plan and she tries to communicate that to the Galactic Federation. We don't want her to telling us before we get to, get things popping, so cut comms. And then later on, her council did exactly what her council was supposed to do in regards to inferring and communicating those inferences when it's still useful, so not too late. So then her council said, well, we have bad comms right now, meaning we're not able to get to the Galactic Federation right now. For some reason, our comms are down. Meanwhile, there's a blockade, right? So then the person on the council says, well, if they're blocking our comms, we surely know an invasion is coming. Let's use our brain. Next thing I noticed is when the ambassadors / Jedis, when they had to go underwater to flee from the invading Trade Federation, they just took out of their pocket water breathers, like little tools to help them breathe underwater. And I said, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. It was a perfect example. Like, are these like special operations / ambassadors / dignitaries? I don't know, but I said, now that's how it's supposed to go. You don't know when your mission or your assignment is gonna go south. So really, hack what you might need, not what you know you'll need. Next thing, now in this example, you can act like you're the person hiding information, or you can act like the person who is the manager and or supervisor, correct? So another example in this film was provided of people not sharing the full picture because they're scared to do so. I know it's human nature, but it can be really, really detrimental to making the most optimal next choices as a leader. So when people are not open with you because they think you will reprimand them, that causes issue. It causes cracks. So an example of this was when whoever affiliated with the Trade Federation and or a dark energy leader behind the scenes, right? Whenever that person asks the people at the Trade Federation actually manning the blockade of the planet says, is the invasion proceeding as expected? They just say everything's going fine. They just conveniently leave out the 2 Jedis because maybe they think they'll be found, it'll be squashed, no issue. They assume. They just don't even mention it. They said, everything's fine. Yes, it's going as planned. Don't worry. And then the Jedis got away. This is a little tricky, but I had to write it and I had to speak on it. One of the senators, maybe the princess, said, oh, so we're just going to quabble in bureaucracy while people are legitimately passing away. So I thought that was very poignant and important to bring up because that's real. Like, that is real. There can be things happening in a country that are violent and problematic, and responses, like a proper response, however you see fit, but you would think it's going to be stopping the conflict and taking care of any wounded or displaced persons, right? You would assume that probably is what a government will do when there's internal conflict. Bureaucracy can hold up taking those actions. Bureaucracy should not slow down things so much that even the things that are supposed to help our fellow citizens cannot even get passed without bickering and partisanship. The penultimate or second to last thing that I wrote was that the shielded roly-polies are legit. So they're like robots that they can roll around really quickly, but then they're also like shielded. So when they unroll and they're firing they're aiming their weapons at you, they're shielded. And now for the final thing that I wrote while watching was that this Star Wars situation would seemingly imply that in the future it's going to be about which countries or planets, organizations, etc. can afford the most and best robots or androids. Because that's really what it came down to in the main battle in this film, was like, who has the most robots, the most capable robots? Because I'm sorry, we were able to manufacture and prepare literally like 800,000 robots. And you have 30,000 defending your province. Now, unless yours are crazy capable and you have some other tech that I don't know about, that is a clear example on, even if they're lower caliber robots, the amount of robots you were able to manufacture ahead of a conflict. Like, not during and then you're like, shoot, get our factories together, because then, you know, they're probably going to target your factories. That's probably going to happen. I'm not sure you're going to be able to make those robots in the moment where you need them. So to think about who can afford to make enough droids that are capable enough ahead of a conflict, that's probably going to be a deciding factor on who wins conflicts. Let's just, you know, call a spade a spade. Yeah, guys, that was my review / thoughts for Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. I hope you enjoyed this video hanging out with me. I hope you have such a fun or relaxing weekend. If you like this video, definitely make sure to hit the like button and hit subscribe if you want to see more content like it. And if you want to see my face elsewhere, definitely check it out on Instagram at Michael A. Inman _. Bye.